I will start this Zoom mainly by congratulating Paula for this wonderful moment, for the wonderful work she has done by putting together the new book. And also, I would like to say that I'm really honored that we could be part of this book launch, and I'm honored that it can be us doing this live Zoom. Thanks for the messages in chat. Pakistan, Bermuda, Philippines, Namibia, Cyprus. Okay, we have many countries, many people. So perfect. Sweden. Good. First, I think everyone knows Paula, so maybe I don't really need to do a big introduction, but a little bit of bio, because I think it is important to say. Paula was a teacher and a head of school at Forest Bluff School for over 25 years. She has given over 100 talks at Forest Bluff and other Montessori schools, teacher training courses, and conferences. Her work focuses on the principles and benefits of Montessori education. She has attended Hampshire College and holds a master's degree in education from Loyola College in Maryland. Her diplomas from AMI go from assistance to infancy through primary, elementary level, and she has also audited the NAMTA and AMI orientation to adolescent studies. She's married to Jim. She has 2 children, adult children, 18 and 20 years. She loves horses. She has 2 poodles, right? She loves nature, hiking, skiing, reading, and laughing with her friends. What did I forget?
Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you. I guess I'll add one thing that people get confused about sometimes. And first of all, welcome everyone. I'm really excited to be here. My mother is Paula Polk Lillard, and she's the one who wrote Montessori Modern Approach, Montessori from the Start with my sister Lynn, Montessori in the Classroom, and Montessori Today. So that's Paula Polk Lillard, my mother, who I think is here today. She's 91, and my father. And my sister, Lynn Jessen, helped to found Forest Bluff School and is very active in Montessori. And my sister, Angeline Lillard, is the researcher. So she's the one who does a lot of research on Montessori from the University of Virginia. So there are several of us in the family, and I always love to try to help people to sort that out so they know who's who.
Perfect. Thanks. That's important to say as well. About the book, I think it would be best if I share my screen, and actually I will show you some of the reviews that the book already got. And let me do it now like this. First, maybe most of you have already seen the back cover of the book. So we have the front cover, the Montessori Potential. You all know it. You have seen it. It was in the invites. We have been sharing it. And let me share some of the texts from the back of the book. Let's start maybe with Michael Thompson and his words. In her passionate and beautifully written new book, Paula Lillard Preschlack explores not only the potential of the Montessori approach, but also the potential of children to grow into fully engaged and joyous learners. In a time when we see children as fragile and in constant need of our anxious supervision, Preschlack sees them as independent, adaptable, and resilient. Educators and parents and politicians need to read the Montessori Potential to remind themselves of what children can do if we create learning environments for them that unlock their strength. That's a nice one. And it's not from a Montessorian. Let me share more. What about Carolina Montessori? Paula Lillard Preschlack explains in great detail what the authentic Montessori approach to education is and how it should be implemented. Or Nora Flood, this is the most comprehensive book I have read that illustrates the history of, framework for, and power of the Montessori approach. Preschlack's writing has helped me understand and in turn articulate why every child deserves a Montessori education. Paula, how do you feel when I read all these nice words about your book?
Oh, just so complimented and so encouraged, because I don't think of it so much as being about me, but being about the book itself. And I want so much for people to read it and for these words to get out to people. So it makes me really happy to see it recognized in that way. And so thank you. Thank you for reading those.
Today, we will be talking a lot about the book, but we will also take questions from the audience. We will also cover some of the questions that you have sent when you were registering. And we will also come to the point where we will share with you, where you can buy the book, or even, when you come from other countries with other languages, where you can actually find information. Maybe you would like to translate the book to your language. So we will get into all of these. We will also give Paula some time to read some passages from the book and get us more excited to buy it, since, today is the launch. And we will also talk about, some of the chapters of the book, and Paula will tell us a little bit in detail about what the book is about. Maybe we can start with that. Paula, what do you think?
Sure. I could read the first page to help people get oriented.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll do that. I have my puppy is right next to me here. She seems to know something important is happening. She's right next to me. All right, I'm going to read from the introduction, which is called "What Should Education Be?" So I really wanted to start everybody off with a big overview and then bring it down to the detail. Our children face unprecedented rates of change and an uncertain future. Rather than be paralyzed by anxiety, this next generation needs to adapt. For this, they must develop necessary skills, knowledge, and traits. On this quest, education plays a vital role. When I ask parents, educators, employers, and business leaders what abilities children need for the future, they tell me that children will need to think creatively, to innovate, to collaborate, and to solve problems effectively. They give descriptive words like persistent, resilient, confident, compassionate, and intellectually curious. People recognize that young adults need to cultivate their abilities to learn new things, to view failures as learning opportunities, and to persevere with lifelong passions. In essence, the next generation needs to foster their adaptability for anything that comes their way. Considering this reality, we must ask ourselves whether the current educational system helps children, and if so, how? If grades and scores drive progress in our schools, how do children learn not to fear failures? When children are stopped mid-thought to leave one subject of study and change to another every 50 minutes or so? How do they develop focus and get deeply engaged? If units of study end after 6 weeks and students cannot dive deeper into a subject, how can they pursue their curiosity, develop passions, and practice the courage to persevere? If they are restricted from interacting during class time and taught to compete with each other, to be winners, how can children learn to truly collaborate? And after they are told what information to acquire and when and where to apply it, how can children develop creativity, independence, and resourcefulness? If such traits are the goals of education, then schools are failing. So I wanted to start people off with thinking about why these things are so important, what is so important, and then use the book to explain how Montessori actually helps children to develop the very traits that are going to help them for the future, and why Montessori is really the answer for this. So when we look into what makes Montessori so different, it is the paradigm, I call it, of looking at the child as an active learner, as a being who forms themselves. And Maria Montessori discovered this by watching children, and you see the infant and they're putting everything in their mouths and they're exploring and they're touching everything, and children move. And this is how human beings learn. We explore our environments and we try things, and this is how we learn. So if she, as you know, called this self-formation. And if we take this paradigm that the child forms themselves, they are not an empty vessel to be filled with information. They are not something that adults mold. Then we have 3 things that become very important. The first is a prepared environment, which Maria Montessori showed us that the environment becomes incredibly important if the child is forming themselves by interacting with it. So the prepared environment is very, very important. The second is the adult, that the adult is the one who connects the child to the environment by showing them certain things, and we model behaviors for the children. So the adult is the second very, very important thing. And the third is a balance of freedoms and responsibilities. So choices and boundaries. And that balance is where a lot of that growth towards independence and responsibility happens. So those 3 main themes, I call them pillars in Montessori, 3 main pillars. And I think that helps parents to wrap their heads around what Montessori is. And we can break it down and point it towards those 3 pillars in many of our conversations. And that really helps people to understand it. But that's a big theme in the book to help people. And another is that I thought about the character traits that I see in Montessori graduates over the years. And I thought about where and how I see those traits being developed and fostered in Montessori classrooms, no matter what the age of the children. And I came up with 8, and there are many more than 8 characteristics that people develop in Montessori, of course, but these were 8 that kept coming back to me. And they are engagement, focus, organization, curiosity, courage, collaboration, respect, and resourcefulness. So by giving the reader 8 traits to think about, I then thread those 8 traits all through the book so that in all the anecdotes and all the stories and all the points I'm making about Montessori, these words keep coming up so that people can really connect that something is really happening here. Montessori is not some philosophy, some fantasy, some idea. It's very, very tangible, and you actually see these traits developing And I would be hard pressed to say where they develop in a conventional school system. So I point that out throughout the book. And if somebody gets the bookmark from me, where you can order the book on the front, the back has the 8 traits on it, so that a person reading the book could actually have them right there with them while they're reading. So those are 2 themes I wanted to talk about right away, Lucy, and just tell people, this gives people a little introduction into the book.
And I will try to keep asking you the questions about the book and about your writing of the book. And my first, and I think most important question is, why did you write this book? What was the motivation?
Yeah. Well, I thought about it for many years, about how often people talk about how disappointed they are with education, how frustrated they might be, how much they feel that something isn't right, but they have these misconceptions about Montessori. So you start to tell them, well, Montessori actually really does these things, and they often have a misconception. So I wanted to get outside the Montessori community and to the lay person, to anybody, and be able to help them to understand Montessori, intrigue them to want to find out more about it, and to really show why authentic Montessori is so powerful. And in doing that, I had to point out that Montessori, the name Montessori, can be used without somebody getting training or really following the principles of Montessori. And we know this is an issue that we have. It's an issue that Maria Montessori had from the very beginning. As soon as she started giving her lectures and teaching teachers and telling people about it, so many people misunderstood what she was saying, or misunderstood what she meant, or rushed off to start implementing these ideas without truly understanding how to do it. And so that has been a frustration from the beginning. So I wanted to make it really clear, and wanted to make it really clear what the differences are in Montessori, but also be positive about the fact that any Montessori-like work that people are doing is a step in the right direction. So rather than discouraging some schools or people from feeling that they should embark on a Montessori journey, or that their journey isn't valid in some way, I really want to set the tone that anybody who cares about Montessori and is interested in it and would like to use the name Montessori, we all want to help each other and to keep working towards authentic Montessori, because the closer we get to her writing and the further in depth we get with our understanding of how to implement it, the better the results. And the more powerful the results, the better for children and the better for all of us. So I wanted to make that a very positive theme.
Well, how did you want this book to be different from the other books about Montessori education?
Yes. Well, I think one of the really timely conversations is whether Montessori can be implemented in public schools. And I'm hoping that this book is coming out at a time when public school superintendents and people who are making decisions about the policies for public schools will be open to learning about this alternative. And the public school Montessori that I've seen and that I've heard people talk about with their experiences has been very positive. So I'm hoping that this book, which has a chapter on public Montessori, will really make people open their eyes to this option and start getting interested and investing in Montessori for public schools. I think that we have a long way to go with that. And I talk about some of the challenges with it and some suggestions from very knowledgeable people that I've met with in the public Montessori world, because this is really the place where Montessori needs to be now, and it needs to come into. And from the very beginning, Maria Montessori herself, most of you know, this was her passion, was to help everyone. And somehow in the United States, especially, Montessori has really been mainly in the private sector. So I think this is a really prime timing. And I'm hoping that that will be a big outcome of this book.
Actually, one of the people who registered, one of the questions which came through the registration forms was, let me read it. As an advocate for Montessori education, how do you also address criticisms of its limitations, particularly around issues of access, equity, and racial justice?
Yes, so I know that question's from Mira Debs, and I so appreciate it. And Mira Debs has written an excellent book about diversity and inclusion with Montessori in public schools, and really raises some very good points and did some amazing research. Found so much information that most of us didn't know previously. I'm so grateful for that. I think there are two things to think about with that question, two different aspects. One is criticism of how Montessori is implemented in the United States. The fact that I just was saying it's been mainly in the private sector. And I think that we're seeing that it is possible and can be very successful in public schools. So we're on the right track, but it may be slow for people to understand how to implement it really well, and to do it successfully. But the further we go, the better it will get. I think that is the main criticism, is how it's implemented. The other aspect of that question to me is criticism of Montessori, the approach. And I think what's really important is for people to know and understand, and I hope this comes across in the book, that Maria Montessori herself was a huge advocate and very, very open to all people, all cultures. She wanted to not have her method be connected to any one religion, any one political view. She really was a humanitarian, and you will see that if you read her writing and really study her writing widely. You will see that theme throughout, and it's very consistent, it's very strong. So I think it's really important for people to understand when they are criticizing Montessori, whether they're criticizing the approach, which I think is very humanitarian and very equitable and very respectful of all people, and helps children and adults to think more that way, and not confuse that with criticism of how we see Montessori implemented, or any particular Montessori school or Montessori experience that somebody might have. That is where we need to do the work, is connecting the two, helping schools and helping the reality, the picture of reality, match better with Montessori's vision and what she really told us to do. So I hope that will come out in the book too.
And we already have some questions also in the chat. So let me read one from Star. Do you think that public Montessori school really works for the masses, even when Montessori is far from how the majority of parents are parenting their children?
That's a great question, because I think that helping parents with their approach at home is a big part of what we do in Montessori education, because it is about adopting that paradigm that the child is forming themselves and the child is an active learner, and we are there to help them and to aid that process, but we are not in charge of that process. We are not molding, directing, and manipulating children. That is very much of a conventional school approach. So a parent has to want the Montessori approach. And most people I find do, if you talk with them for a while and you ask them questions. There are very few people who really become, who just are very rigid in the way that they think. Most can be shown this other way of looking at things, and most will want that. So I don't believe that we should change all of our schools suddenly into public Montessori schools. Honestly, I'm such an advocate for choice and freedom that I believe people should be able to choose. But that's what I want to see happen. I want to see it be an option. So in a public school, that there's a Montessori option, that people can choose it. It should be available. It shouldn't be forced on people, but it should be available. So I think that's part of answering that question. And I do have a chapter that's about parents, and I do talk a bit about helping parents to understand Montessori from the perspective of a Montessori school and my experiences in a Montessori school. So that is all in the book as well. Thank you.
Another question that came, I think it was actually from First Bluff. In writing your book, you draw from your own experiences as a teacher, your observations of Montessori classrooms, and the writing of Dr. Montessori herself. What do you see as the most timeless and universal aspects of Montessori approach, regardless of culture, location, social economic differences, or generational differences?
Well, I think this is what's so powerful about Montessori, is the universality of what makes us human. Our desire for freedom, inner freedom. I believe that's a very human instinct and desire. And I think that Montessori saw that, and she followed, how do we help children to develop that further? I think that Montessori is universal in the sense of we are a communal species. We need each other to survive. So we are programmed naturally to want to cooperate with each other, to want to communicate with each other. And I believe that Montessori really is a approach that brings people together, brings children together to try to understand each other. It presents human history and the history of our world and nature in a very positive way, so that children can fall in love with that. I think that is crucial, that our children fall in love with nature, with the natural world, with human beings, and then want to study and want to learn and want to understand each other and want to empathize with each other. And Montessori was so unique in having these observations, and then so unique in following children and their natural development to match. How can we help that process? Because every other form of education that I know of, every other approach is about someone's idea about how people should learn, how children should behave, an idea, and then it's kind of put on the children, trying to match the children to it. Montessori is the only one that really watched children for so long in so many different situations in different countries and different from different backgrounds and so on, different family lives, and then responded with an approach that works. And that's why I think it's so universal. I think it's timeless. Her whole goal, and you will find the word adaptability and adapt all throughout her writing. It's probably one of the words that's used the most. That and the word spiritual. You will find spirit and spiritual, and you will find adapt and adaptation and adaptability all through her writing. And so that's really what she was trying to do. She was looking at the very big picture. We need to help children to adapt. We need to adapt in order and be adaptable in order to pivot and change and respond to the changing world around us. And so I think this is what makes Montessori so universal and so timeless. And the adaptability, adapting, she said many times, adapting to a child's culture, time, and place. So that is what she saw the young child was so driven by nature to do. And that means that any child will become their own unique individual and not like anybody else. So much of one of the biggest problems in education has been, how do we educate individuals in community? So in a community classroom of many, many children, how do we meet the needs of each individual differently? And Montessori solved that problem, but I haven't seen anybody else do it. And if we can't have our children together in community, we are losing a huge part of their development. They have to be able to go out into the world and communicate with each other and collaborate. So Montessori found a way to do that in a classroom setting, and I think that is really powerful. So thank you for that question.
Thank you. Thank you for the answer. I have many more questions here that come to me through the chat, and I have more questions prepared. But first, I was thinking how to make this maybe more personal and more, how to say that? We are celebrating the birth of your book. So I was thinking maybe we can do a word cloud where we would all write down what do we wish to your book and to you. So I have created the word cloud here at Mentimeter. So if you can, guys, actually click on that, and you can put down up to 5 words. What do you wish to Paula and to her new book? So we actually have a bit of the celebration mode here as well. Great. And Paula, you wanted to, and of course, then I will send you also the word cloud to everyone, so everyone can see the final product. Paula, you wanted to read a few anecdotes from the middle of the book about children. Do you want to do it now, or should I continue with the questions?
I think that would be great. I think that would be fun. There's a section of the book in the middle of a chapter that's about Montessori school. It's called An Effective Model, a Montessori School. So I give an example of a Montessori school, how a school might be different. And in there, I included some journal entries from when I was actually teaching. And I taught primary level for 4 years. And then I taught 6 to 9-year-olds for off and on for 8 years. And I kept a journal always of certain things that happened in the classroom. And I have pulled from that to put those in the book. And it's part of my, it's one of my favorite parts of the book because the children just bring it alive. And I wanted to share a couple of the anecdotes in there. So these are true stories. These really happened. And I changed the names of the children, but to protect them, but these are real things that happen. And I think they give examples for parents, especially to understand what happens in the classroom. These are from primary classrooms, so ages 3 to 6. And so I wrote, Clayton, age 3, is on his 3rd day in the classroom. When he closes the classroom door upon entering, the handle latch makes a loud sound. Linus, also 3, rushes over, waving his arms and saying, "No, no, no, Clayton." He very seriously and slowly pushes the large door handle down and says to him quietly, "You must push all the way down like this." Then he motions for Clayton to try it, and he does. This cracks me up because Linus struggled to remember this when he started in the classroom just 3 weeks before, and he would regularly slam the door. So here you see Linus was expressing and establishing respect for others and for the classroom environment. So you see one of those traits developing. Here's another one. Fritz, age 3, comes over by me and sits with his legs crossed next to me on the floor where I am working with other children. In a pleasant voice, he tells me, "I was disturbing somebody, so I need to come sit next to you." Fritz was self-regulating, practicing self-organization, making steps towards developing focus, and collaborating with his teacher by placing himself near me, using my help. Here's another one. When I present the sandpaper letter to Stacy, age 3, today, I realize her babysitter's name begins with V. So I say as in Vivian. When Vivian comes to pick her up, Stacy runs out to her and shouts, "Vivian, you're on a sandpaper letter." Stacy was expressing joy and making her own connections with her budding resourcefulness. So those are some from the younger children, and I wanted to share a couple from the 6 to 9-year-olds. 2 little girls, both age 7, spend the entire morning finding factors for numbers on the pegboard. They had chosen the number 102. After almost 3 hours, I am actually going to make them move on to something else because it seems like busy work by its apparent futility when I eat humble pie. They come up to me with reams of paper to show me with odd expressions, "Mrs. Preschlack, can you believe that the only factors for 102 are 1, 2, 3, and 6, and then 17, 34, and 51? The students had literally repositioned the pegs on the board until they had exhausted every possible combination of 102 to find these factors. They showed focus, engagement, determination, and patience to continue with a lengthy process and curiosity to find those factors. So I'll tell you one more that's one of my favorites. That's about a girl I will call Tara. Tara, age 6, often says, "It's too loud in here," when it's pretty quiet. I don't think that the external surroundings are distracting her, actually. I think her own mind is so active that it distracts her. She comes over to me every 2 minutes to tell me something. "I can't find my pencil." Then, "I found my pencil." "I'm not sure what I want to work on." And later, "I think I'm going to compose some music." "Do you know what 3 times 3 is?" Then, "I'm looking for somebody to do the checkerboard with." Then, "I found Gabe to do the checkerboard with me." It is driving me crazy, these constant interruptions. I keep talking to her about this, but finally I have to limit her to asking or telling me something just 4 times in a morning until she's out of times and has to wait until afternoon. This is hard for her, but giving her the definite rules seems to help. "You can decide," and and "what do you think you could do?" And all my other responses just haven't been doing the trick. I think she just enjoys the comforting contact with an adult, but I need to wean her away from this constant attention. Later in the year, I wrote, "Tara comes up to me for the 3rd time in an hour. When I say to her, Tara, you are very smart. I bet you can solve that problem. She says, I have a solution, and holds up her finger. She comes back a few minutes later. I'd like to move my table to the hallway to work alone. I say that would be fine. A few minutes later, she comes back to me. I'm wondering where the names for the provinces came from of Canada, which she is writing a report about. Over her 3 years in my classroom, Tara gradually became more independent. And in her last year in the class, as a 9-year-old, she starts to love helping younger children learn things. So I recorded 2 years later, the very last day of school, the children and I super clean the entire room. It is a particularly hectic super clean, and I finally leave the room to use the bathroom near the end of the 3 hours. When I reappear a moment later, I find that everything has been put away and all the work is done. Tara, now 9, is standing on a chair next to the stand of the US flag. On a chair, oh no. And she's holding the flag out for all to see. The class is gathered on the floor in front of her, and she is leading them in a roaring, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed? I catch my breath. Tara has become a leader. How did that happen? I realized that over a long period, Tara became more self-organizing and even enjoyed organizing others into an activity. By working with younger children and helping them with their work, she mimicked my organizing behaviors with students and became like a teacher to others. This helped her teach herself how to sort through her own thoughts. She also kept repeating again and again the process of finishing projects and presenting them to others. This child's weakness, her overactive awareness of what was happening around her, gradually over 3 years came more under her control so that it became a strength. She was able to see the other children's needs and to organize them into an activity. She used her dramatic flair to engage others' attention. She had gradually learned how to focus her energies to be productive. I see transformations like this one, from struggling with executive functions to developing strong skills, happen all the time in Montessori education. Perhaps such dramatic growth happens because it is supported by having one teacher with a child for 3 years, sequentially and in all subjects. Such continuity allows for real progress to happen. Children correct their own weaknesses by steady, repeated work and from a desire within them, ignited and encouraged by the teacher and the community. Because of the way the classroom functions, this happens with dignity intact. And I think that is a very important part of it. I also want to tell you there's a footnote to that where I say, as a side note, what made this event more surprising was that I had never proposed that the children sing to the flag. The national anthem was one of many songs in our classroom songbooks. So this was Tara's idea, to ask her classmates to surprise their teacher in this way, quite spontaneously. They wanted to show their teacher that they had finished the cleaning on their own and decided to do something they deemed ceremonious. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I think now is a good time to actually share links where the people can order your book. I guess we can order it on Amazon, but we can also order it directly at Chicago Review Press, right?
Yes.
And there is a special discount for schools. Am I right? Do you want to share about that?
Yes, they're giving a very generous 40% discount for schools to order 20 or more books. So it's a great time to get books for your whole school, for parents to buy from the school, for the teachers. And that really helps schools because you can charge the real price for the book at your school and therefore make a profit that supports your school. And I think that's really important. And it's one of the things that Chicago Review Press, the education department, really cares about. So it's a really good time to make those orders. Be sure to tell them that you're a school.
Perfect. There is one question in the chat. If it's better for you if we order through Amazon or Chicago Press?
It doesn't matter. It all comes from the same place because it still all comes from Chicago Press. They just send the orders to Amazon. But I do think it's a really great opportunity to support independent local bookstores. So wherever you are, if you go into a bookstore or you call your bookstore and you ask them to order the book for you, they should be able to find it. It has an ISBN number. It's a real book. You can show them the picture of the cover, and they should be able to get it from anywhere. So that really helps independent bookstores as well.
Okay. And I think it's also nice if you guys have the book, or if you will have the book and you will enjoy it, it's always nice to share a review or recommend it to others. Am I right?
Yes, it makes a big difference. If you write a review on Amazon or anywhere, that really helps to spread the news about the book. And for me, this is about spreading the news about Montessori. So anything we can do that spreads the news of the book helps to spread Montessori further. And it helps that then when somebody is typing in Montessori, this book will come up faster and more immediately when someone is looking to get information about Montessori. So you can really help as a movement. I also would love it if people would send me a picture of themselves with the book. I've gotten a few of those and it's really fun. So if you want to email me, you can find my email on my website. And it's really, really special to get pictures of people holding up the book because it just makes me feel like I'm right there with you. And all the time I was writing this, I kept thinking of all of you, of all these people reading this. So it makes that connection. It's really special for me. That would be a gift. Thanks.
You also wanted me to talk about how international Montessori is. I think we have the experience from our conference that really reaches, I think, everywhere. But you also wanted me to talk about our friends in Ukraine, and you wanted to talk about the Montessori Foundation in Ukraine. Do you want to share more about them? I can also add, because we were supporting the foundation with our last Childhood Potential Conference, and I will add the links, but maybe you want to share something from your point of view.
Oh, that would be great. Yes, that's actually, you're the reason that I found out about the Montessori schools in Ukraine, Lucy, because I was participating in one of your conferences as a viewer, and I can't say enough good things about your conferences. You bring together such amazing speakers and so much value and so much content, and you've really led so many others to learn how to do this. I think you started like just a little over a year ago, right? And it happened so fast that you started doing so many. But one of them, you showed a video of teachers being interviewed in Ukraine and who had left Ukraine but had experienced the beginning of the war there and had been teaching Montessori and what they were going through and what they were trying to do. And they were so brave and so hopeful and so persistent and resilient. And when I saw that video, I just wept through the whole video. And it made a real impression on me. And I do want to spread the word that there are ways that we can help the teachers who are there and the educators who are there doing such amazing work with children. And Montessori herself worked with children who had had traumatic experiences and was really attuned to that. So it's been I've been asked to speak to them later on this winter in the early spring, and I'm so honored, and that will be a really special way to connect. But I know that others also have been asked to speak. And it's just amazing to see how hungry the teachers are for connection, but also they keep wanting to learn. They want to learn more. They want to learn more about Montessori and continue their learning and their growth and their schools and what they're doing with the children, despite everything that, all the challenges and obstacles that they're dealing with. So I did want to take a moment to mention that and to see, Lucy, if you would put in the chat information about how people can donate, how people can connect their schools, and perhaps even set up a sister school where they exchange information with a school there and help many of the refugees who are in other countries, but who are Ukrainian and are still trying to keep their Montessori communities together and still have a place for the children to come to every day to be together. So thank you for that.
Thank you, and thanks for the kind words. Also, there are messages in the chat that I want to share. There's a message, I see last message from Lima, Peru with thanks. I see message from Simon Davies. Okay, it's there. Your book will definitely make a big impact. Thank you all. Your work, putting it all together. I also have to hop off. Best wishes from Amsterdam. So there is another message, and there are some few more questions. Maybe we can come back to them, or do you want to answer some questions now as well?
Well, let's see. What do we have left to do? Why don't we do some questions now, and then we'll be concluding. Yeah.
I have one question here. Now that you mentioned that we help the child to culture, time, and place, could you share a few ideas on how we can do this with the hyperconnectivity of this generation to screens and technology?
Oh, yeah, that's a big theme. It's something that I do refer to throughout the book to just remind people that this is a big experiment. What is happening, as you all know, with trying to raise children with this very abstract tool that is really designed for adults and does not use the senses and activity the way that human beings and very young humans learn. So it can be a real obstacle to normal and healthy development. And I think we are going to see more and more research and proof of that as time goes on. And I think as Montessori educators, we can lead that conversation, and we need to be bold and confident about the fact that we know how children learn, and we can see how this is an obstacle. So there was a great article that somebody posted on social media just yesterday of a parent talking about how she tried to talk to her 11-year-old who was very frustrated that she wouldn't let him have a lot of screen time, and tried to explain to him, speaking from the heart. And I loved that story because that was very much what I have tried to do with my own children, and what I encourage teachers to do, and what I encourage parents to do, is speaking from the heart. And what this article was about was the idea that in this mother's mind, spending time on the screen was robbing her child of living a full life, like being active and being in nature and communicating with other people, and all the things that you would be doing, reading and drawing and creating things and building things with your Legos, all the things you would be doing if you weren't spending that time on the screen. What is that wasted hour that could have been really productive? And I think that is the best way to think about this is, what would you be doing instead? So the child, the 2-year-old who spends 25 minutes staring at a screen, and people think, oh, well, 25 minutes a day is not going to hurt. But those are 25 minutes that they could have been doing something really useful for their development or emotionally connecting with their parent. So this is a question, I think, that is very much on our minds and something that teachers are seeing the effects of in the classrooms. And we have to stay strong as administrators and as schools with our policies, what we encourage parents to do. We have more to turn away from that and really limit the time and exposure to the screens, because I think that one of the reasons that the children in our school right now, that we're seeing such positive results with them still, is that we are very, very vocal about this issue. And we strongly, strongly urge parents not to let their children spend time on screens. And we don't want them to get them a cell phone or have any of that until after they leave the school, which would be going into high school. So the parents have each other and they have that community for support. And it's a constant reminder. It's a constant conversation. It doesn't go away. People keep, we all kind of creep back to it, and it keeps kind of creeping its way in. And then we have to, pull ourselves back and remind everybody we need to turn away from it. But I think it is really, really crucial. And I think if we can get as long as we can through the early years of childhood into adolescence, if we can get all the way to age 14 without spending a lot of time on screens, you're going to have a very, very, very different life. And what this mother said in the article that I loved is, she said, I say this to my children all the time, those of us who grew up without the screens, which would be everybody who's on the Zoom right now, we know what it feels like when the difference between how you feel after spending a lot of time on a screen or with games and things, and how you feel from walking in nature, reading a book, talking with a friend, all of those kinds of experiences. We know the differences. And so we know what we're looking for, how we could feel. The children don't even know that yet. So this whole next generation who are growing up spending a lot of time on screens, I think, that the depression, the anxiety, I just know there's a connection. So we'll see what the research shows. But I think as Montessorians, we can lead the conversation and say, this is what children need. These are the kinds of classrooms they need. This is what they need to be doing. And we have a lot of experience with that. So we should do it.
Thank you. That was a needed answer. You wanted to share some pictures. Do you want to share them now?
Yes, I'll just share a couple because I think we've been talking for quite a while, and I don't know, people may need to start to leave, but I will. I'll share with you. Okay, can you see that all right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. I'm going to move this down. Okay, so yes, I thought I would show a couple of the photographs from the book. Some were taken by me, some were taken by a colleague named John Dixon, this one was, and some were taken by other teachers at Forest Bluff School. But in this one, I talk about how young children develop self-mastery and independence by following inner tendencies. Building the pink tower, caring for themselves in a prepared environment. Sorry. Caring for themselves in a prepared environment. So you can see this 18-month-old here. And caring for items in the environment. And I'll just show you one other series I love. The Montessori materials, they lead from one to another. So building the three-dimensional puzzle of the trinomial cube at age 5, as this young man is doing, is indirect preparation for exploring the algebraic equation and its interrelationships with labels for each component, explored here at age 11. So you can see what they're doing here with the tickets and so on. So I wanted to just show with the pictures, but also in the text, I really go into some detail about how intellectual Montessori is and how the level of the academics is so impressive. And children are capable of understanding these things. So these boys are finding square roots of very, very large numbers. You can see them doing the work on the paper, but they are about 11 years old and they are using the physical materials, then understanding the abstract, putting it in on paper in the abstract, and then eventually can just do it on the paper. So I really try to help people understand how that departure from the materials, how the materials help the children to understand abstract concepts with a concrete example. They experience it, they work with it for years, and that gets so deeply in their minds. It gives them such a structure and framework for understanding all kinds of subjects. And then their work can be very abstract, but they always have that to go back to. And research shows that this is a really powerful way for human beings to understand a concept. So I have many pictures in the book. These are the ones that I have in there. And I love them. I feel like it does help to bring the book to life. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks. So I just wanted to say that I have shared links to where you can order the book. I will also share it in email where when I will be sharing with you the recording of the Zoom. I will show you the Mentimeter now, so you have an idea what the people wrote. Let me share the screen.
Oh, it's fun to see the chat. It's fun to see everybody talking in there. And
okay.
Oh,
so
neat.
See what everyone wrote.
Oh.
I will share it as well in the email with recording, and so you have it there. So it seems everyone wishes the book recognition, love, success, understanding, inspiration, hope, change, guidance.
Oh, so great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Well, I have to tell you that one of my very, very good friends, who I actually quote in the book a couple times as a Montessori parent, called me from California just the other day and said, "Oh, I just got home and I opened up the package and it was the books and I needed good news today." And it was just such a nice lift. And I thought, yeah, we kind of talked about how this book is good news. You know, it's a book about being hopeful. It's a book about looking towards the future. And I think what Michael Thompson said, you know, in a time when we have a lot of anxiety and there's a lot of concern and on so many topics, but about children, we can be very positive about children and the future because we have this very positive approach to use with children. So I'm very hopeful. I love seeing all those words from everyone. Lucy, I didn't know you were going to do that. It's really neat. And it's fun to see everybody's faces here in the chat.
And I'm also sharing in the chat Paula's website, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, so everyone can reach you and maybe get in touch.
Yes, absolutely. And you can go to my website and see my email there. And one of the really, really neat things about writing this book for me, Lucy, was going around and talking to people because I wanted so much to make sure I got sort of a consensus on so many of these issues that I talk about in the book. I didn't want it to just be what I thought. I wanted it to be what we all think and what we're finding, and really to check with others. What are they finding? And what are they thinking about Montessori, and what are they experiencing in their schools and in their classrooms and with children? And it was so special to have all of these conversations. And it's been so special during this whole process, and as the book is coming out, the connection with people, the connecting with everybody. So it's really powerful for me. I love seeing everybody's faces here on the Zoom, many that I know and many that I want to know, and it's really exciting. So I want to thank you so much, Lucy, for doing this for me and for this book and helping it to get out there, helping us to spread the word, helping us all to come together. You are so wonderful at bringing people together and to make this special event for free, to do it in your own time. It's just so generous of you. And I'm so, so appreciative. So thank you. And I'm so appreciative to everyone for taking the time to spend some time with me today and celebrate. I'm by myself right now. I'm renting this condo and I'm by myself with my 2 dogs. My husband's coming later, but I'm by myself. So it's been kind of funny. I've been feeling alone, and it's really great to see everybody and feel like I'm not alone. You're all out there seeing the book and getting the book and hearing about the book and interested in it. So thank you so, so much.
But you are not alone. We are all here and we are all supporting you, and it's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
I think like this is somehow the end of what we have planned, but I have another idea, and if you guys will like it, then you can stay. And the idea is maybe we can also wish to the book and to Paula something on video, and maybe we could give everyone who wants to maybe 10 seconds. I don't want to make this long and big because I know what can happen on a Zoom call when there is 150 people, but but maybe 10-15 seconds if you would guys want me to, you know, unmute you and you would want to, you know, make you know, something, say something, just raise your hand in the chat and we can give you the time and space, and it could make it personal, it could make it more fun, and yeah, it might be nice. Also, I think you can comment also what you have heard, but we have to keep it short. And if you don't want to get on the video, I see all the comments in the chat, so that's also fine. I will share it with Paula so she can read it later, and she knows how many people are there and how much we appreciate the work that she has done. Perfect. Okay, Sherry, I'm asking you to unmute.
Oh, Sherry.
Hi, Paula. It's so great to be on this call, and I look forward to seeing you in Baltimore this month, to hear you and see you in person.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Yay. It makes it personal.
Yeah.
That's
Great.
really nice. Okay, so if anyone, you can just raise your hand. Otherwise, thank you everyone for
Bernadette raised her hand. Bernadette. She raised her hand literally. Oh, there's a couple others.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So let me give, I'm asking Val to unmute.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucy, for all that you're doing to create this menu. But this is for Paula. Paula, my name is Val Alino, and I've been following your work for 3 decades. I'm Montessori full-hearted, and I just want to thank you because you are really shifting the paradigm of education with your heart that I fell in love with 30 years ago. And now venues have joined me with Lucy and now with you. And I just want to commend you and applaud you for the difference that you're making even, 3 decades. And I know that your books will revolutionize education in the entire world. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Val. That's really special. Thank you. It means a lot.
Perfect. I'm asking Maha to unmute. Okay, that will work.
Hello, hi Lucy. How are
Hi,
you?
Maha. Hi.
How you doing? And thank you again for all what you do, Lucy. As always, you are awesome. And thank you, Paula, for a fantastic book. We know Montessori works for everyone, and I've been working with refugee kids, and I can see the miracles of Montessori just happening every day. Thank you, Paula, and I will definitely buy your book, and I'm going to enjoy reading it. I read all your mom's books, and I have always enjoyed them. Thank you guys very much, and have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's great, Maha.
Okay, I just wanted to say that Maha is also doing an amazing work with Syrian refugees in Turkey. And her work is also, Maha, you can put the link also in the chat so everyone can see it.
Can I
also,
just,
yes.
I have to tell you too, that a parent at our school who's from Turkey came up to me and told me that her publishing company got my book and she gets to be the translator. So it's being translated into Turkish right now.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Fantastic. Great
Yes.
news.
Yes. Yes.
I like that. I like, and I'm hoping we'll get it translated to Arabic as well.
Yes. Yes.
So that everyone will benefit from the book. Awesome news.
Right. So I think Lucy will put in the chat there where to go if you want to pursue getting the book translated into other languages. I really am excited about that.
I will do that now. I'm asking Rao to unmute.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, badly, but we can hear you.
Okay. First of all, I am very grateful to you, Lucy, for conducting this very special webinar. And secondly, the topic is very interesting and very informative. And the way Paul has elaborated the theme and the main key points related to book, and how lovely she has answered the questions from the participants. Believe me, I have never seen such a huge crowd, you can say, in an online event. So I really appreciate for your work, for your book, and I hope it will present a big impact on many lives, and it will bring a positive change, I hope. So finally, it's a great honor for me to being here and to become a participant in this online event. Thank you so much for giving me opportunity to speak here.
Thank you, Rao.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have Miss Amoroso.
Oh, Tina.
I'm asking to unmute. Yay.
Hi, I would just like, how are you? I would just like to say, Paula, I wish you the best of luck with your book. As being a parent of 2 daughters that have been in the school since they have been the very, very beginning of the program to one that will be graduating this year. My hopes is that you can educate people on the wonderful experience that our children have had, to spread that so that they can understand what a great education it was for them as far as learning and their love for learning. And then also as the parents to be involved, because the parents are very much a part of everything, and explaining in the great extents that Montessori goes to educate the child as well as the family, I think is just very special in itself. So just good luck. And I hope the book lets everybody know what we've experienced for all these years. And I thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tina.
You're welcome.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So in the meantime, I have shared the information about the translations of the book into different languages. So you can see it in the chat. And I think that's more or less it. Paula, anything that you want to add, that you want to share more?
Oh, it's been really special. I do want to give a special shout out to my writing coach, Cynthia Morris, who I see there on the screen. And this wouldn't have happened without her. So she's been my creative coach and just so encouraging and helpful. And my assistant, Megan Valley Minnick, who came into the scene just a few months ago, has been incredible helping with everything too. So it really takes a team of people whenever you do a big project like this. And it is really, really helpful. So thank you so much. You know how much you've done for me, and all of you. Thank you so much, because I wrote this for you and I wrote this with you, and now we get to send it out together. So thank you. Thank you, Lucy, so much.
Thanks to everyone, and congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye everyone. And thank you again for participating. Thank you, Paula, for sharing your words. And yeah, thanks.
Have a great day. Yay.